PMMG has implemented the 2020 parliamentary elections monitoring program in Tbilisi as well as in 5 regions of the eastern Georgia. The mission in totally covered 12 single-mandate majoritarian constituencies falling within the borders of 24 municipalities. The program was realized by means of deployment of 21 long-term observers, as well as 600 observers for the first round of elections and 200 of observers for the round of elections. These numbers include static observers, District Election Commission observers, mobile group observers, and Central Election Commission observer.
The first round, as well as round of elections, were legally supported by the program-attracted lawyers. For both rounds of elections, the monitoring program was coordinated by the Coordination Center composed by the Incident Center and Media Center. Incident Center operators were engaged with STOs to obtain and process the electoral data regarding the proceedings of electoral process. Hotline service was functional at the center, by which any interested party was given an opportunity to report relevant electoral information to the center.
In general, the pre-election campaigning held in a calm atmosphere. However, from mid-September, the electoral environment became tense and more polarized. The signs of polarization were also seen in the media, and the majority cases of violence and physical confrontations were observed in Kemo-Kartli regions. Among the incidents identified in pre-election campaigning were the following: the misuse of administrative resources, threats, alleged vote buying, physical violence and confrontation, interference within the pre-election campaign, violation of the rules of agitation, several statements of instigating the ethnic conflict between the Armenian and the Azerbaijani community, some cases of discrimination and disinformation and attempted violence.
The quantity of ethnic minorities in this parliament is less than in the previous, because they were not represented adequately in the list of political parties. Also, they were not in a top of list of political parties, and that's quite big problem still. What about the platforms of political parties? I would say that not so many problems are faced in these platforms or programs. Political parties mainly focused on the integration of minorities in social and economic life. Also on promotion of Georgian language, learning Georgian language. It was some things about how to fight with discriminations. But unfortunately, we can't see in the programs of political parties long-term vision how to solve specific problems of minorities. So this everything is showing us that we still need work with political parties on these issues. We need work on to create understanding of the problems and how to solve all these problems, specific problems for minorities.
The elections administration has managed to successfully fulfill some of its tasks. However, a number of electoral shortcomings have been reported within the frame of the elections monitoring program. Positive assessment of the works of the election administration can be attributed to its readiness to conduct the elections amidst the COVID pandemic. Elections administration conducted high-quality capacity-building training programs for PC members in minority regions, as well as carried out some educational, informational, and awareness-raising programs for including ethnic minority voters. However, as I've already mentioned, there were a number of shortcomings, including composition and the staffing of the election administration with unbiased and highly qualified members, drawing up the summary protocols and correction summary protocols, as well as reviewing the electoral complaints within the election administration system.
In August 2020, the government of Georgia launched the project addressing the economic crisis, and those projects anticipate the disbursement of certain funds to the voters. The government of Georgia affiliated itself to those projects. Because of that, the line between the state and the political parties was blurred. It was against the core international standard, according to which there should be clear line between the state and the political parties.
A pre-election campaign proceeded in different ways in Samtskhe-Javakheti and Kvemo Kartli regions. This was largely caused by the military actions in Nagorno-Karabakh. Public statements were made during pre-election campaigning in both regions, and that ultimately instigated the inter-ethnic strife and confrontation between the two ethnic groups. Eventually, the goal of these statements was to manipulate with ethno-patriotic rhetoric, to align it with narrow party interests, as well as mobilize voter support from the respective minority groups. And ultimately, this gave significant advantage to this or that party or electoral subject in each of the regions.
Voting process in those constituencies where the PMMG implemented E-Day monitoring program was mainly held in a competitive and calm environment. However, the PMMG short-term observers identified certain electoral violations that, according to the PMMG, didn't affect the results in the geographic area where the organization implemented E-Day program. Overall, on E-Day, PMMG observers identified 45 incidents, 13 complaints were submitted, and 25 objections were registered in the logbooks at the PACs. As for the complaints, after the E-Day, PMMG observers submitted 6 complaints related to the 9 polling stations. In terms of the consideration of the complaints, it should be noted that the DECs refused to satisfy all demands, implying the recounting of the voting results. The DECs satisfying only those demands that implying the imposition of disciplinary sanctions on the PAC members. In terms of run-ups, it held on 21st of November. The run-up went also in a calm environment. However, these elections was not competitive because the majoritarian candidate from the opposition parties refused to participate in these elections. PMMG observers identified that there were some cases of tracking the voters and mobilization of voters by the political parties.